This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
The Lean In movement and the empowerment of women on this edition of In Studio. Sheryl Sandberg is one of the world's most successful business leaders. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Facebook, on the board of directors for the Walt Disney Company, and a role model for ambitious women and men alike. In 2013, she penned a book entitled Lean In: Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. Her book has turned into more than a literary piece. It has spawned a global movement. Women around the world are forming peer groups called Lean In Circles. In early 2016, a Pensacola chapter was formed. So what is it? How does it work? What are the benefits? And how can you get involved? Questions we plan to answer on this edition of In Studio. Our guests are some of the early adopters of the Lean In movement. Jennifer McFerrin is a community development representative for the Gulf Power Company. In 2012, she was selected as a rising star by the Independent News. Her track record of community service includes a long-time dedication to Big Brothers and Big Sisters, as well as service to United Ministries and 90 Works. She is a founding member of Lean In Pensacola. Nicole Dixon is an entrepreneur, small business consultant, writer, and radio personality. Her breadth of business experience covers a broad spectrum, from bookkeeping and tax preparation to marketing. She is the former executive director of the Gulf Coast African American Chamber of Commerce. Nicole has also worked with many nonprofit ventures in Northwest Florida, including the United Way. Megan McCarthy is the Director of Community Health and Wellness for Baptist Healthcare. Recently, she was recognized as Emerging Advocate Leader of the Year by the Pensacola Chamber of Commerce. In 2014, she was named one of the nation's top 100 wellness professionals by the Wellness Council of America. Her community volunteerism includes working with Junior League of Pensacola and the Manna Food Bank. She is currently working on her doctorate in healthcare administration at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. Ladies, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Jennifer, let me begin with you. Lean In Pensacola, what is it?
Lean In Pensacola is a local chapter of the broader global Lean In movement that, as you mentioned, was spearheaded by Sheryl Sandberg, the Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. And what was kind of the precursor to that was a TED Talk she did in 2010 called Why There Are Too Few Women Leaders. Okay. And what came from that essentially was the realization that there is a hunger and a need to have a critical conversation about why there are too few women leaders. And Lean In Pensacola is a representation of that here locally. So after the Lean In book became so widely popular, Sheryl Sandberg realized there has to be something more in how we can apply this and empower women and hold them accountable to apply some of the principles and explore some of the components of the book. So she encouraged the formation of circles, which are small groups of about 9 to 12 women, and Lean In Pensacola is designed to empower and assist women in forming their own circles that they can meet together for a variety of different reasons or purposes or with a different theme. And then Lean In Pensacola is the community chapter that loosely connects all of those circles in the community for opportunities to come together for education or networking or best practices on how they continue their circles.
Nicole, why did you decide to get involved?
So I first have to tell you the story of how I got involved.
Okay.
I had read Lean In already, and then one day when I was the executive director of the chamber, someone had dropped the book by, and so I opened up the book and it said, "Will you join our circle?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" Oh, I didn't know these exist. I was just super excited. So that person was Megan.
So Megan, obviously, tell us what were you thinking?
It all comes full circle. It actually started the fact that I had read the book, and Jennifer and I were training for the Pensacola Marathon, and she was like, "Oh, I have a circle," and I said, "Well, I want to join your circle," and she said, "I'm really sorry, my circle's full." So then I said, "Well, I am starting my own circle," and Jennifer actually had practical tips. Like, she wasn't just like, "Oh, go for it." She was saying, "Here, let me link you back to some other resources. Here's some lessons learned, some best practices from me," which was great. I formed my dream team around town and formed a really great circle. And then people continued to ask me, can we join your circle? And I was then in Jennifer's position to say, our circle's full. I try to link you back, but what we realized was it was getting to such a number that we knew there were people out there that needed a little bit of assistance in the structure and those things. And so we said, well, let's do a workshop so we can really touch as many people, and we'll just throw it out there and invite people, and we'll go through how to do it and the resources and the website and the book. And I think we started with 50. We put it on Eventbrite. We said 50 people. We posted it, and it was just almost immediately sold out.
Wow.
So then we thought, oh, we'll change the venue and we'll do 100. Sold out. Wow. And I think we went 200, 300, 400, and finally we stopped at 400. And we were like, we can't find a physical location in Pensacola to get this many women together. And we realized we have really tapped into something here that was purely almost organic, really.
So what happened? I mean, eventually, I guess you did have a meeting somewhere, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So last January of 2016 is when formally the Lean In Pensacola chapter launched with 450-ish women, with I think 200 on a waiting list who wanted to come to the event, where we kind of unveiled what does this mean for our local community. Bentina Terry, who was at the time our Vice President of Customer and Service and Sales at Gulf Power, provided her personal Lean In story kind of as a keynote. And then we said, okay, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. These are the resources. Let's have at it, Pensacola. And since then, I think officially on the website that tracks it for Lean In, we have about 30 circles in the community and many more that are probably out there organically that maybe haven't formally registered. So to Megan's point, there was just a need to provide some technical assistance and bring people together.
What do you think it was about the whole movement that caused so many people to jump so fast?
So I will say what was exciting for me is at the time when I was reading the book, I was reading, and I don't want to say I like to hear people going through the same things, but at the same time, it's always good to know it's not personal.
Right.
So for me, when I was reading the book, it's like, and then I want to discuss it with someone where it's not a lot of entrepreneurs and things of that nature, or people who have actually read or heard of Sheryl Sandberg at the time. And so to be in this group with these people with the like-mindedness and the confidentiality, so you could have real discussion about your issues and the things that you're facing, and someone is not looking at you crazy, because you have your spouse, and you can go home and you can talk to them, and they're sitting like, like that. So to really have these people that you can discuss these things with, and they really understand, it's just like, it just makes your month. It really does.
And I think the other thing that we found is that circles form with the common denominator for different circles can be a variety of different things. So one of the circles could be incredibly diverse by way of professional background. There are other circles in our community that are specifically designed for women in manufacturing. Okay. Or my circle tends to be comprised of a lot of young professional women who are new mothers. Okay. And so there's no right or wrong way necessarily to form your circle, but just find other women who need that same advice. So my story was that I had read the book and was coming back from maternity leave with my first child, and I realized I need monthly accountability and support.
Is there a particular type of person that will head it up? I mean, is there somebody that kind of takes the lead, and what's that person like?
Well, I think, without any type A jokes involved, there's usually someone who naturally aligns with those things. Now, like Jennifer's Circle, they have kind of a dual leader role where one person handles, X, Y, and Z responsibilities, whether it's content, and then the other person, kind of trades off. And our circle has a similar format, but then we really rotate, and I think a lot of times it is really timely of what the current events are or what's going on with an individual person. So it's great that there's resources to have a structure, but then we can, deviate from that structure when we need to.
How often does a circle meet?
Once a month. Ours meet once a month. And we've really stepped out of the box now. So we used to be one place, and it was a coffee shop, and we just, and then for Christmas, we had a Christmas party. Okay. And that's just changed everything up for us. It was at one of our other members' house, and now we're just having it at each other's house, and that just makes it so much more fun and intimate, and it's very social, and we're just having a great time.
We played at that last visit, we played Leaned In Bingo. Yes. So we literally made a board of different things, goals, like it was our version of New Year's resolutions. And so when you called out something, you could only count it on your bingo board if you were committing to do it during that year. And that's really bold to say to these circles of women that you really trust and have formed this bond with, to saying, I'm committing to doing these. And some of them are really big goals. And so they were running for office. They were writing a book.
And surprising.
And surprising. So just going back to Jennifer's accountability, it's not necessarily like, sometimes accountability can maybe be perceived as negative. It's a good, positive peer group of accountability.
I was going to say that. Do you, like on a monthly basis, would you say something along the lines, okay, Jennifer, how many chapters have you written for your book or something like that? Do you get that specific with it?
I think every circle figures out what works for them. In our circle, we're not quite that specific, but we rotate, to Megan's point. Lean In provides some recommendations and resources for how you can format your meetings. We go back and forth between every other month. 1 month's an education month, 1 month's an empowerment month. So during education months, we watch a TED Talk or we watch a video on the Lean In website, and we discuss the impact of it, our personal experiences. We kind of digest it with one another. But to your point, during the empowerment months, that's when we really go through and say, okay, what were you most proud of that you accomplished over the past 2 months? How can we celebrate that with you? And then where do you feel like you need the most support or accountability in the coming months? And then we do that check-in process every other month, so we can say, hey, 2 months ago, you said you were going to ask your boss for a raise. How's that going? Tell us about it. How can we support you?
Now, would you get involved anytime like between the months? So if you had, say, a big event coming up or a big project or something, might you guys pick up the phone and say, okay, how's that project coming along or something? Does that happen?
I think each group decides what kind of infrastructure works for them. So our Lean In Circle has a private Facebook group where we'll post things. Hey, did you see this article? What are your thoughts on this? Oh my gosh, guys, I've got this huge deadline coming up and I need help with this. Or I'm really struggling to figure out how to get the kids out the door every morning. Do you have any practical tips? Whatever it might be, that's what we've found. But I think a lot of circles do it different ways.
Yeah.
We have a text group. So we communicate, and sometimes our communication can be very casual. Yesterday, one of our members had a big win, so it was just like, congratulations. It was encouragement. I just randomly decided to say, good morning. And then everybody's just like, good morning. And then they'll send out the Bitmojis. So we have a lot of fun, and it's very encouraging. And again, it's just like another sisterhood for us.
Motivation.
One of my favorite parts about our circle is that it really is multi-generational. And I find that sometimes in your life you can get aligned with people that are in your same decade. And it's so amazing to be able to talk to someone from the 20-nothing point of view and say, wow. And then, each generation up, it so rarely happens, without some mindfulness behind it by bringing together a group. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of our circle.
One of the questions that I have that we'll answer after the break is, can men join the Lean In movement? We're going to find out. You're watching in studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. We're coming back in just a couple of moments. Hope you'll stay with us.
The American dream isn't what it used to be, especially for our kids. That's where research-led Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor and author, will be part of WSRE's Public Square Speaker Series in partnership with Studer Community Institute on April 18th. Putnam's 2015 book, Our Kids, The American Dream in Crisis, chronicles the opportunity gap that is growing in America that is leaving millions of children from low-income families behind. Join the Studer Community Institute and WSRE on April 18th in the Amos studio to learn from Putnam how our community can close the gap and improve the quality of life for everyone in the community. It's another step in our journey to build an early learning city on the site of North America's oldest settlement. And it is a way that we can build a brain, build a life, and build a community.
Admission is free. Advanced registration is required at wsre.org/speakers.
I lean in for entrepreneurs and women in business to help other women find their voices and know that it's okay to be goal-oriented and assertive, to sit at the table and not be subjected to labels such as bossiness or aggression. Lean in is about believing in ourselves and reaching for ambition. I lean in to sit at the table and not along the sidelines.
You're watching in studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. Our guests, Jennifer McFerrin, Nicole Dixon, and Megan McCarthy. We are discussing the Lean In movement. Just saw a commentary there from one of your colleagues in one of the Lean In circles. Yes. So talk a little bit about what she was talking about. That's an issue I hear a lot of women talking about.
So I want to jump in on that one because, you know, I'm not a boss. I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. You know, and there has to be a difference. And being a woman, and even more particularly African-American women who have a label of aggression, you sometimes get those labels and you have to watch it. You have to watch when people say that, oh, you're being bossy right now, or she's being bossy. No, and then there are plenty of studies out there that show when men have the same behavior, it's okay. I don't know if I'm getting deep with y'all already, but
no. Please go there, because you're right. There are surveys that show that, and then anecdotally, oftentimes that's the case. So please go there.
So my favorite example on that comes directly from the book Lean In, and it's in relation to the fact that success and likability are positively correlated for men and negatively correlated for women. And one of the key studies initially that showed that was done out of Harvard, and it was based on a venture capitalist named Heidi Rosen. And her success was attributed to a number of different things. And so when she submitted her cover letter and resume to apply for a theoretical job, the students in Harvard evaluated it, and they also had another half of the students who evaluated that same cover letter and resume, but they changed the name to Howard. So it's known as the Heidi Howard study. What they found was that they were equally competent in their technical abilities to do the job, but that they would hands down hire Howard because he was someone on the team that they would much rather work with. He was far more likable, far more compassionate, and really had the ability to energize his team and motivate them. Whereas Heidi seemed a little cold, she was off-putting, and she probably would be a bit aggressive. Identical content, but simply by changing the name from a male to a female name, it immediately changed the perception. And so that's, I think, in the video that Whitney was sharing and kind of the Ban Bossy campaign that's going on, it's really diving deep into understanding what are those subconscious cultural behaviors that we have and assumptions we make.
I want to also say, that she also talks about in the book, though, that it's not just on those labels, it's also on us. So that's where leaning in comes in the conversation. So when you're in a boardroom and you're in a board meeting, don't go sit on the side. Right. Don't go sit at the back. You get up to that table and you sit at the top with everyone else. And when someone assumes that you're the secretary or an assistant, which has happened to me so many times when I'm hanging with my guy friend, and you correct them, and it's also about us holding ourselves accountable and not taking a back seat to anyone else. So it's not just on the labels and things of that nature.
Megan, why do you think that is? Why do you think that those perceptions are the way they are?
Well, it goes back to, I think my favorite part in the book is a chapter about not taking your foot off the gas pedal, and I think that sometimes when you're planning ahead and thinking of your whole life, that there will be women who will say, well, this time next year, I think I'm going to get married, so I probably shouldn't throw my hat in the ring for that big project because I think I'm going to get married. Or I want to have a baby in the next couple of years, so I'm not going to go for that promotion. And so you're essentially taking your foot off the gas pedal before you actually have to. And when you look at someone's whole career, if you are bowing out a little earlier, you know, those add up to big differentials. And so one of her suggestions in the book is don't take your foot off the gas pedal until the last possible moment when you're sure you need to, and then go have that baby, then go get married, do whatever you want to do, but don't get too far ahead of yourselves, because as we all know, things change and life throws you curveballs and things like that. And so you need to make decisions with the information you have at the time.
But what do you think it is? Why do you think our society, particularly our modern society, still has the idea that if a woman is in a leadership role or if she's a take charge type of person, why do you think they think, well, she's bossy or she's, you know, using whatever, as opposed to a man? And they go, well, boy, he's a take charge leader. Why is that?
So my thought is that traditionally women have a more. So you heard of the expression, I've heard women say, when, especially even in a relationship where my husband thinks he's in charge. So you have to let a man think that he's in charge. And so we still have to deal with this. Men are supposed to be in charge. Women are not. And we're supposed to let men think they're in charge, even if they're not. And even as women, we have to hold ourselves accountable in those positions also. So same thing with Megan or the Howard or so any of these ladies. If they were a man and they were doing the same exact thing, it'd be okay, whatever. And then if they're women, they're BITs and you know the rest. So we also it's just the way we've been programmed that men are leaders and women are not, and we just have to break that mold and change that, and we have to do that very strategically, very intentional. And so I think it's just the traditional roles of the American society and just breaking that. And I find myself, like she said, not getting my foot off the gas pedal. So it's not just society, it can be internal.
Is it changing, though, particularly with in you guys' age groups? You're younger than I am. I mean, is it changing?
It has no choice. They have no choice at this point. They have no choice because, I have a guy who I hang out with. He's an entrepreneur, such as myself. And I have literally done a woman of power. And another man has walked up to me and said, you and that guy did really good on this event. I was like, dude, it's women of power. He had nothing to do with it. Or I ask a man a question and he responds to him. It's like, hey, so you really have to, you have no choice at this point. It's like I have to step up and I have to hold them accountable for their actions. Right. So it's going to change. It has to change. Or else it's going to be a lot of upset people here.
It's not changing fast enough, though. and I think that for me, and I'll speak to my personal experience, it's the biggest thing that I see perhaps in a lot of social settings as well is that, and I'm thinking about this also because I'm raising 2 boys, and I think about what the impact of this movement has on them, and how do I really empower them to take part in this and help advocate for empowering women in the way that they can. And I think part of it is that we've lived in this cultural narrative for so long where women fulfill a certain role in society and men fulfill a certain role. And for example, I am the first person in my family, both on my husband's side and my side, where I am a full-time working mother. And it's new for us as a society to some degree for this many women to be engaging in that journey. And so part of it for me is at our house, we really have to focus on valuing the role that my husband plays at home just as much as he values my professional role. And until men are valued enough in the home, we can't expect women to be valued as much in the workplace. And we've really got to find that balance and creating equal value.
Great point, yeah. You want to elaborate on that? Or?
Well, I just think it's really interesting how it is all connected. And I think, Lean In has focused on bringing men to the conversation because I think that is some of the natural pushback we hear. Well, where's the leaned in circles for the gentlemen? Which obviously gentlemen could find their own circles. I don't know of any, but certainly Lean In started a campaign called Lean In Together, meaning that gentlemen have to be at the table. And it's been some cool partnerships. And maybe you've seen some of those commercials with the NBA and the WNBA. Have you seen those?
I have not.
They're very cool. They kind of are talking about, when women succeed, men succeed too.
And that was my question as we went to break a few minutes ago. Can men join a Lean In circle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's interesting. I don't think that there are any circles of just men or that there are necessarily circles with men and women in them. They really do design a lot of the curriculum specifically around empowering professional women. But even our circle has joked that we need to start a Lean In support circle for our husbands to really seriously to help, because they'll joke around in social settings. Oh, is your wife part of that girl power group? And I'm like, no. Let's pause and have a true conversation about what is it that we're meeting about each month.
So I'll say this though, Jeff. I'm not interested in men being in a group. I feel like we have to have our own things. We have to have our time. I think that's also part of the empowerment. I'm not saying that men can't have a Lean In group, But Megan and Hung, who lead our group, if they have any men, we're going to have some conversation. Because this is our thing, you know, let us have it.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, and I'll throw this open.
Okay.
And maybe like every meeting, not having men, but would there be benefit? Okay, if you put a bunch of guys together, if you have a lean in with a bunch of guys, here's what you're going to be talking about. You know, you're going to be talking, okay, you know, the NCAA championship, you know, things like that. I mean, you know, stuff that really doesn't matter perhaps in the. Wouldn't there be some advantage to having a men in the group to get a better understanding of where you're coming from?
So we addressed that at one of our Lean In workshops. So we have gone on to have different workshops quarterly since our first original kind of launching. And one of them was focusing on Lean In Together. And we had a men's panel. And it was really interesting to kind of start those conversations and let different men who their spouses were very strong women leaders across the board, and to hear from them and kind of connect some of these dots, exactly what you're talking about, to kind of prompt those conversations.
Again, let them have a panel. Come in our circle. I don't know if the other ladies feel that way, but
you know, it's interesting though, because I think that's something worth exploring more in this broader movement. So our Lean In Circle watched a TED Talk by Susan Calitano called The Missing 33%. And the premise of it is that women do exactly what we're doing in our Lean In Circle. We focus on personal empowerment and mentorship and all of those more soft professional development components, whereas men predominantly focus on business, professional, and technical acumen and developing their hard skills. And so you'll often see men's groups who are centered around development of those very specific technical career-related skills. But it's rare that you see a group of men getting together to support one another and empower one another in their professional development. So we've got to figure out a way to encourage and empower women, which I think to some degree we do a great job at with different industry associations and other groups, to focus on that missing 33% of focusing on our business and professional acumen. But to your point, also encourage men to be okay with also needing that safe, confidential space for them to have some candid conversations on their own professional development.
Great point, great point. Fascinating conversation. We're talking about the Lean In movement and the empowerment of women and how men kind of fit into the whole situation. We're going to continue this magnificent discussion in just a couple of moments. This is In Studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. We are coming back in just a couple of moments. Hope you will too.
The American dream isn't what it used to be, especially for our kids. Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor and author, will be part of WSRE's Public Square Speaker Series in partnership with Studer Community Institute on April 18th. In Our Kids, The American Dream in Crisis, Putnam chronicles the opportunity gap that is leaving millions of children from low-income families behind. Come learn how we can close that gap and improve the quality of life in our community.
Admission is free. Register in advance at wsre.org/speakers.
I lean in hopes that women will support women in all aspects of their lives. Fortunately for me, I've had a strong support system of women from my diverse background. We don't talk alike, we don't look alike, we don't even act alike. But together, we are stronger.
The Lean In movement and the empowerment of women. That's our topic on this edition of In Studio here on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. Our guests, Megan McCarthy, Jennifer McFerrin, and Nicole Dixon. So doing some research, I spoke with some women and who are successful, and interesting conversation with one. And she said, I told her, I'm doing this show, just give me a little feel. What goes on in your world? She happens to have 2 children. And she says, you know, one of the things that is challenging for me is work-life balance. And she says, I have 80 hours of work. And she said, quite frankly, if I didn't have kids, I'd probably work 80 hours, okay? And she said, when I do work extra, I feel guilty about it taking away time from the kids. I think they're only going to be small for so long. Address that.
I would say one of my mentors, who also happens to be my boss, early on in our relationship said, I want you to forget the word balance and focus on blend. And I think the hardest thing for me has been coming to terms with the fact that there are going to be weeks where the scales have never been even on any given week. And there are going to be weeks where I give more to my career, and there are going to be weeks where I give more to my family. And I just have to be able to be okay and be as present as I can in those moments and not get lost in the guilt that I'm feeling. And letting go of that guilt is really, really hard. And she's right. I mean, it's the balance. I was joking with Nicole earlier today. I feel like, I have a 4-month-old at home now, our second son, and I feel like I've had to lean out and figure out, for me, it's really figuring out, what do you say yes to at the moment, and what do you say no to? And it's the constant reminder for me that no doesn't mean never. It just means not now. But it's hard. It's hard.
I'll say I just recently, I went to a women's conference now. I did do that. But I was in Arizona for 5 days. And I decided to go a day early so that I could do nothing. And I decided to, I spent the whole 5 days there. And I'm a mother of a 7-year-old who's going on 27. And a 4-year-old who's going on 2. And he's the boy. But I've really, and that's what I was telling Jennifer, though, you really just got to not be afraid to take that me time so that I can come back and be the best that I can. And my kids called crying. They couldn't make it without me, and they want their parents, and it was awful. But, after I got the phone, I forgot about it because I could go to the store and not have nobody talking to me. But it's just so I could come back and I could be the best. So I've also understood I like to work. One day I was just like, you know what? I like to work. That's just what it is, and I love my kids, but it's just like you said, just being okay with it, being comfortable, and hopefully I'm setting a good example. And also, I wanted to go back to that point about the raising. I have one boy and one girl. So being his dad, I have to watch what his dad says to him, because his dad sometimes, he says crazy stuff. He doesn't mean to, but he says chauvinist things to him. Sure. So I have to correct him and his dad. So also leaning in means, leaning into your family and correcting their ideas and their behavior also. So it's about blending and making sure that you address those issues from all ways.
I think those are good points. Something I'm not great at is being able to switch gears, right? When you leave work, you leave work. When you are home, and I think that's a skill. So I think some of this is, aspirational, and we're talking about this, but I think there's actually skills behind a lot of this. And having a 50-50 partner is one of those things, is that you have to force your partner to meet you halfway. And sometimes I think, certainly in my quest to get things done, I'll be like, I'll just do it myself. It's just faster. And I hear a lot of those stories of and then you're like, well, you've always done it. What do you mean it's my job? There's just so many things like that we do kind of almost on autopilot. And that's what I think, the discussions in the book kind of give you an opportunity to step back and say, why do I do that?
There's a theory, they talk about the third shift for women, and that women bear the brunt, I think 70% for the most part, of childcare logistics and household work. And who's going to remember to do something when the towels start smelling stinky? And who's going to fill out the field trip form for the kids? And so to Megan's point, it's really intentionally and proactively developing a 50-50 partnership. And Cheryl, I think in her book, is so bold to say, we as women have got to be better at selecting partners on the front end.
And training them. And you teach people how to treat you. So one day when I'm looking up and I'm like, why am I doing everything? It's like, you taught him that you're going to be Superwoman. So again, it's also about holding I keep saying it's also about holding yourself accountable for your own actions. Because and then the first time I took a trip with the kids, and I realized they wasn't going to die without me, I was like, oh, it's on now. Do that. Take a trip.
I want to follow up on something you just said. You were talking about what Sheryl Sandberg said in the book about you have to do, or women need to do a better job, quite frankly, of picking partners. Is it, as you become more, all of you are successful, and as you become more and more successful, I mean, do you see for your women, colleagues, is it more difficult to find men? Are they intimidated by your success?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think I was going to say, just for me, my experience is just making sure they understand where you're going and that you're determined to get there. And so it's either you're on board or you're not, and kind of just leaving it there. It's their choice. So
I would say as a whole, though, I mean, I think of some of my single friends who are incredible professionals, and it's a balance between they've got to hold themselves accountable to stop working 80 hours a week, to find some personal time, to allow themselves the opportunity to socialize and potentially find a partner to start with. And then from there, just I think part of it is being candid on the front end on what you expect in a relationship and what you're looking for. But to your point on, are men intimidated? I think to a large degree, yes. And so there's a lot of broader cultural work we still have to do, to Megan's point earlier, of telling the story and engaging men and understanding how ultimately they're successful when women are successful as well.
I think it is the win-win. And I think, I think it is being able to communicate those needs. And I think what sometimes happens is you get to a point where you have to say, this is what I need from you. And that changes. That's the hard part.
Right.
I think that is truly where this is. So just like anything else, you get better when you practice it.
Right.
So when we create these spaces to have this conversation of what Jen needs right now is not what she's going to need in five years from her partner. It's not what she needed before. And so I think it really is that we're understanding now that it is an ongoing conversation. It's a moving target of what that looks like at different ages and different parts of your life. And you got to get creative about building it. And I think that is what I think is, it can look a lot of different ways over someone's lifetime. And so, not having to feel like everybody's got to go in this one lane and it's got to look this way. And I think that really causes a lot of stress for a lot of people, men and women alike, if you are trying to do that.
Do you think sometimes because it's not defined up front in the relationship of what's expected? In other words, perhaps early on, people tolerate things that long term, they really don't want to be a part of, but I'll put up with it. He'll change or she'll change. Somebody said one time, I thought this was kind of interesting, I heard somebody say one time that women marry a man hoping he'll change, and men marry a woman hoping she won't. I don't know, is that true?
I was at a conference and a woman said she told her daughter, and I thought this was an interesting equation. She said, write down everything you like about him, write everything you dislike about him, but this is where it changes. She said, now multiply what you don't like by 10. And what you do like, divide it by 2. And if your like number is higher than your dislike number, then he is marriage material. And because she said it doesn't get better, it gets worse, the things that you don't like. So most definitely, not about that perspective, what it could be, should be, but Megan hit it right on the dot when she said that you also have to remember it changes. So, we had a tough transition in my family, and particularly my boyfriend, when we got kids. We could not do the same thing that we used to could do when we had kids. So that was a tough transition for us, both. We were in our late 20s, so we were just coming out of a lot of the fun stages and learning how to be adults, but that was a transition. Each time there's a transition and understanding that changes. When she's going to school now, so I know her dynamics have changed. You've added another baby, that dynamics has changed. Even adding the other baby was like, I thought I had this.
Life is very fluid, shall we say, and I guess you have to learn to change and adapt. But just for the record, I hope my wife doesn't do that multiplication thing.
I've never heard of an algorithm like that before.
Because Nicole, I might be in trouble.
That was the CEO, the past CEO of Xerox, who said that. So I think she's a credible source.
Hey, well, maybe to Megan's point too, the same thing doesn't work for everyone, and so we just.
That's funny. But yeah, just knowing that change.
Is there a difference between a career mom and a working mom?
CEOs, they're both, I think, I mean, there's a lot of different skill sets and those things, but what I know for sure is that feeling lonely is bad for everyone. So if you are the only woman on a board, if you are a mom and you're running you're the CEO of the home, but you are one of one, that's a lonely spot for anyone. And so I think that sometimes when we look at these perspectives of saying, oh, you know, when we're checking the diversity boxes, oh, there's one of this and one of that and one of that, that's a really lonely spot to be in. And that's not what we really want to do. Amen. And I think that the other thing that Cheryl's book really did is that created some unspoken solidarity of, if I walk in and Nicole and I are the only women in the room, I'm automatically going to assume that, you know, I can make contact without saying a word and saying, you know, I'm going to help you hold that space. I'm not going to disagree with you all the time, but I'm going to help you hold that space. I'm going to make sure that, you know, if you were to be interrupted by Jennifer, I'll be the first to say, let her finish, you know, and it takes another strong person, and that can be a male or a female, but I think that that's what we're starting to change kind of in those environments.
I so agree with you, Megan. And I think the other thing that our circle has explored a lot is the definition of success is so subjective for each of us. And respecting that and encouraging and empowering women to pursue their definition of success has been critical for us, because there are women in our circles, maybe to your point on that delineation between maybe a working mom or a career mom, who are, you know, fully minded that they are going to reach that C-level executive suite, and that is their goal, and that is their definition for success. And there are other women in our circle who have decided, for me, success looks entirely differently. Right. And I'm okay just being a technical doer and staying where I am in my career, because it allows me greater flexibility, greater time with my family, greater time for community. And so there's no right way to approach it.
Yeah, I think you bring up an excellent point with that. And perhaps as a society, we don't necessarily think about that as much, because again, success is different for each person.
Absolutely.
Right.
I do want to add, though, that women have made strides, and it is because of men. It is because of men and having those conversations, and because of the roles that men have recognized that we play, and knowing that we win-win. So again, you know, the conference I just went to, she was the first African-American woman of a Fortune 500 company, Ursula Burns, with Xerox.
Yes.
But it were men who helped her to get there. Yeah. And she was very clear about that. So it's just, if we all do it, we all win.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. We are going to continue this fascinating conversation about the Lean In movement and empowering women in just a couple of moments. You're watching in studio on WSRE Television. PBS for the Gulf Coast. We are coming back in just a couple of moments.
WSRE Public Television and the Escambia Elementary Principals Association congratulate these Shining Star Award recipients. These students were selected upon the basis of good citizenship and adherence to the core values adopted by the Escambia County School System: equality, responsibility, integrity, respect, honesty, and patriotism. Congratulations to all of these outstanding students.
I lean in for so many other new young working mothers who are finding their way through this season of life. The United States is the only industrialized nation that does not offer paid maternity leave to new mothers, and the implications thereof are significant on our mental, physical, and financial health and well-being. I lean in to seek and find support from other working mothers as we pursue success and happiness in both our professional careers and personal lives. Will you lean in with me?
You're watching in studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. Our guests are Nicole Dixon, Megan McCarthy, and Jennifer McFerrin. We're discussing the Lean In movement and the empowerment of women. Jennifer, let me follow up on the little piece you just did right there. Talk about what it's like being a new mom in the corporate world.
So I have a 4-month-old at home. And right now, it kind of feels like I'm in the deep end and someone's just holding my head underwater. And I think it's just a season right now. For me, it's the logistics, it's the biology and the mechanics of coming back to work, breastfeeding and getting my kids to school on time and figuring out who's going to pick up who. And I just feel like right now I'm kind of lost in that logistical transition, and we'll get there and it'll get easier. But I'll tell you, the one thing that has made it the easiest transition has been the incredible support from my employer. SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Managers, in 2010 did a study to analyze how many companies in the U.S. offered paid maternity leave, and in 2010 it was 17%. 6 years later, in 2016, it was down to 10%. We're moving in the wrong direction. The United States is also the only industrialized nation that doesn't offer government-mandated paid maternity leave. Pakistan offers 12 weeks. Pakistan offers far better paid leave than we do. And when I think about those critical 3 months that I had at home with my son because my employer was so supportive and offered paid leave, and I didn't have to worry about things like when I was working for my former employer, who was a small nonprofit and didn't have to abide by the Family Medical Leave Act, got kicked off my health insurance and had to go on COBRA. I had to fight for 7 weeks of unpaid maternity leave, and the physical and mental stress that added to a time in my life when I should have been able to be bonding with my new child was damaging. It was really damaging. And to find an employer who really realizes that it's, again, that win-win situation, that you create more loyal employees who are in a better physical and mental situation to come back to work dedicated to that company, it's a win-win. It's good business sense.
I agree.
Yeah,
Kind of like the 5 days in Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. I would totally agree with you, and I think one of the things that the future is going to show is that companies are going to, particularly major corporations, are going to have to do that, because more and more of the talent pool, in my judgment, is going to be women, because statistically speaking, right now, more women are graduating from college by a pretty decent margin than men. Right?
Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah. What is an all-star dad?
My husband.
Very good.
I think what you're referring to is Lean In has created some really positive roles that men can fill in the Lean In movement. And one of them, All-Star Dad, really attempts to empower and celebrate dads who are all in, engaged in raising their children. You know, sometimes we joke about referring to when men are watching their kids, they're babysitting. But when, you know, the moms are at home, they're just, you know, hanging out and spending time with their kids. And so an All-Star Dad is one that's all in sharing the responsibilities and the logistics of raising children, that they're there developmentally for their children, and that they're a good role model in supporting their wife inside the home and sharing household responsibilities and allowing them to be empowered and pursue their professional ambitions as well.
And what is a workplace MVP?
I think that is that person who has that mindfulness and is self-aware, so that, again, they can help other people hold that space at the table. So someone who can see the field and understands, and it's not about them, it's about, you know, I think there's always the joke too of like, you'll have an idea, and then if Nicole repeats it and nobody says, isn't that what Jeff just said? You know, I mean, and it's very subtle sometimes, but it can be really, really powerful. And so I think, you know, when you start these conversations, all of a sudden you start to see things a little bit differently, and you see those opportunities where before it may not have even been on your radar.
Nicole, what advice would you have for a young woman, a young girl, even high school, college? What if you could just sit down for a couple of minutes and kind of give them the best of Nicole, as they launch out into the world? What hit some high points?
Number one, just do it. just do it. We can overthink it. We can do it. Just do it. Number two, you're going to make mistakes. The most important thing about a mistake, and I teach it to my daughter now, is what are you going to do after a mistake? What did you learn? So just know that everything is for purpose. It has a purpose. God is going to work it out, and it's all part of developing who you are. So I've experienced some awful things, but they have helped to develop the young woman that you see today, or the old woman. I'm getting up there.
Resilience.
Yeah, resilience and persistence is true. And sometimes when you have a dream, you're the only person who can see it, but you just got to keep going. Every day is a new day. I was talking to someone actually, and it's like, oh man, every day is something. I said, it sure is. And people, I've heard the joke that I quit my 9 to 5 to work 24 hours as an entrepreneur. Right. And that's really what you do. But every day you have to hit reset, and you just got to just do it, keep going, and don't worry about it. It's going to work itself out.
I want to show something to our viewing audience, and it's in Lower Manhattan, and it's a sculpture that's kind of neat, and it doesn't really tie in with the Lean In movement, but it certainly ties in with the empowerment of women. A company called State Street Global Advisors is calling on over 3,500 companies to take intentional steps to increase the number of women on their corporate boards. And one of the symbols that they wanted to kind of portray is the power of women and the as you said, the ambition and the goals. And this is in Lower Manhattan, in the Wall Street, the financial district. And if you've ever been to Lower Manhattan, down on Wall Street, there's a big sculpture of a bull, and this little girl is facing that bull. What do you guys think of that? Kind of cool, huh?
I think it's awesome. I love it too. And I think it does connect back to the Lean In movement, because I think we are just the conversations and seeing all of these real big symbols of this change. And I think it connects back. And I think, if you can remember a time where you were that fearless, that we're older versions of that person, and we all kind of have that, in there, and connecting back to that, because just like Nicole's, secrets to success for younger women, I think you really do have to ask for help and reach out. And if someone says no, they say no. But, I think that sometimes in trying to be tough and stronger, we're not as comfortable doing that, to say, I need someone in my corner and not only being supportive, but help me, be a sponsor. And we talk about mentors a lot, and and you can find a really great mentor, but it's hard to find one person who can mentor you in a lot of things. And if you are in a male-dominated role, your mentor is going to be a male. So what is worked for you might not work for me. Right. And so you also need to reach out and find sponsors that say, I'm not going to be in the room, but throw my name in the ring. And if someone needs a referral, will you put in a good word for me? They don't have to be a weekly meeting, but it's these layers of people that are behind you, so you do feel fearless. You're like, there's an army behind me. No, you don't even have to look back. You're like, they're there. And that's what I think is changing so much, and that I think is what is that symbol is connected to a lot of people.
Do you have a I don't really want to use the word hero per se, but is there somebody out there that we perhaps all know that you, and I'll ask each one of you this, that you just really admire? You look at that person and go, man, and it doesn't have to be a celebrity type, it could be somebody locally. I mean,
I've referred to her earlier. She's been a guest on your show before as well. Jennifer Grove is our community development manager at Gulf Power Company. She is my boss. The first day I met her, I told her I had a professional crush on her, which probably wasn't very professional of me. But she's a mother who has raised 4 boys, who has been committed to this community every day that she's here, and who I admire particularly because even during those seasons of life where she had to tip the scales toward family or toward career, she never has missed an opportunity to pull other women in alongside her and encourage and empower them along the way.
I know Jennifer, and I will concur everything you said. She is one of the most awesome people that I know. You?
She is. I guess Gulf Power has all of the good people. Because
it's the paid maternity leave.
I was going to say my favorite person is Bentina Terry.
She was on one of my other shows. Who I also go ahead.
So awesome. No, it's okay. But I just like how she's true to herself. Yeah. She's very genuine. But she will say, Nicole, you shouldn't have did that, or you try this. And then if I ask her for those referrals or any assistance, she's always there. I mean, she's just awesome. And I just really love her being a genuine person. She's just a very genuine person. So I love her. That's my professional crush.
And I concur with you on her. She's wonderful also. Yeah.
I just think, when I really stopped to think about it, there is so many in this community. Like, you know, Pensacola has the largest Impact 100 in the country.
Yeah.
And I look at those women, and it is so different. And our circle is really my sheroes around there.
I like that.
You know, and I think it is contagious. We have our first female CEO of Lakeview, which was one of our, as part of Baptist Hospital. So, you know, I do feel like if you look for it, it is there. It really is there. And so, you know, this is the conversation that should be happening at dinner tables. So it's like, you know, what female leaders, and then take this up for, what female leader in town do you want to get to know? Send that person an email. Go drop a book off at their office. They're probably going to talk to you, right? I mean, it's really not that hard. That's one of the best things about Pensacola is we're talking about heroes. They're all approachable. They'll take your phone call. They'll answer your email. Yeah. I mean, there's nobody in this community that doesn't want us all to be better and stronger. So if I can help you, all you got to do is ask. But so many people don't ask. And Lean In created a path to say, okay, I want to know. I want to meet some other people. I want to do this. Yeah. And I really think that, you know, creating that path helped bring more people together.
Real quick, like in about 30 seconds, if someone wants to find out more about the Lean In Pensacola movement, how do they do so?
First, I would say search for Lean In Pensacola on Facebook, and then when you go to leanin.org, you'll find a tab where you can click on circles and search geographically. So type in Pensacola, Florida, you'll see the circles that are on there. It'll also indicate whether a circle has space open or not, and provide a platform for you to create one if you'd like.
This has been a fabulous conversation. I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. And of course, I'm very, very fortunate in that I live with two very accomplished and powerful and, I promise you, strong women. One of them I'm married to. The other one is a very accomplished 15-year-old sophomore who I'm very proud of. And I think the future is just phenomenal for women and, well, quite frankly, for everybody, but I really do, and I'm excited for my daughter's future. Thank you so much. I had a great time.
Likewise,
Thank you.
You bet. Our guests have been Jennifer McFerrin, Nicole Dixon, and Megan McCarthy. Our topic has been Lean In, the Lean In movement, actually, and the empowerment of women. You can find out more on Facebook by searching Lean In Pensacola, as Jennifer said, and also learn more about the organization as a whole at leanin.org. I'm Jeff Weeks. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Take wonderful care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.